How's it going, guys? Josh back again with POV Magic. I know it's been a few months since I posted anything, but I'm excited to say that I'm going to be back posting again very regularly. Hopefully, if I can keep motivated with it. But today we have a really special one. We're going to be doing the Marlo tilt, also known as the depth illusion or the tilt illusion. This is something that Vernon and Ed Marlo both worked on. You can find this in a lot of different publications going way, way back, but it's been in tons of magazines, tons of books. And it's a well-known move. It's a ubiquitous move in card magic because it's one of the best illusions in card magic. As long as you can get ready smoothly under cover while using misdirection, and once you know the little subtleties, how to hold the card, how to get the break, how to do all the little things, it's going to look fantastic and it's going to fool everybody. This is one of my favorite moves to do. You know, it's considered to be a beginner's move, but that's actually not necessarily true because I'm going to be teaching this move today very in depth and we're going to make it a little bit more advanced. But this is something that's going to take practice, you guys. It's not some move that you can just learn in 5 minutes. This is something that I've been practicing for 2 years now. At least 2 years, I believe I've been working on this move. It's something I work on constantly and I'm improving it constantly. It's not just one thing that you learn once in 5 minutes and then say you're done. A lot of other YouTube videos have kind of given that impression with the move and I really don't like that very much because this is a difficult move and it requires a lot of finesse and timing and misdirection to be done very well. So we're going to talk about everything you need to do to make sure that you can achieve all of that. So let's snap right into it, guys, and talk about how to do this. Alrighty, so I do want to spend a couple minutes here talking about angles because that's very important to understand what type of angles you can perform from and some of the little subtleties also that go with that. So we can actually get away with things depending on how we tilt our hands and which way we're turning our bodies and stuff like that. So the main tilt that I like to do, where I was kind of showing it off a lot, was where you kind of cut the deck like this. Well, this one, obviously, you can't really perform this while surrounded. If you take a look here, people are going to be able to tell from my left-hand side that I'm cheating. So this really only works from pretty much straight on and turned a little bit to the right, like this, or to the left, actually. Sorry, get my direction screwed up here. So basically, straight on, this will work, but it won't work if you tilt your hand down too far like this. This is, you cannot do this. You tilt the pack up towards eye level, like so, and then you can perform it with someone straight on with you. But you want to make sure you're still going to be turned just a little bit so that your right shoulder is more pointed towards the audience. So you can get away with it all the way to over here. It will still look okay. But you don't really want to turn too much because you can kind of see here the break if you're not careful. You can kind of hide that by turning your hand down like this. If you go too far, you can see the break here. All right, so it's kind of just finding a little happy medium there between turning to the right and not going too far on your left-hand side like this. You really don't want them to see that. So just take note of who's surrounding you, where everybody's at. If you need to, you can move to a different location and say, hey, everyone come over here. I want to show you something a little bit closer, you know, and then you can kind of position yourself in a way where you can have most of the audience here on your right shoulder side. Okay, so that's how you perform this particular subtlety. However, you can always use the classic version and then you can perform that virtually surrounded. So let me show you what I mean. So we'll get ready here. I'm just going to keep a small break for this. Okay, I'm also going to tilt my hand down towards the ground like this. Okay, this will offer you the best angles all around. Okay, so obviously from the front, looks perfectly fine. I can even turn all the way to the right like this. Pretty much you can be behind me on my right shoulder and it still looks pretty good, actually. So, you know, you can almost have people behind you on your right hand side and perform this from here. Obviously that's not ideal, but try to position yourself so you can have most of the people in some kind of a cone like this around you, not behind you, you know. This also will work all the way to the left as well. So I can turn all the way to the left over here and it still looks pretty good. You know, it looks like I put it in the middle, right? If you're going to be performing with a lot of people around, use the classic version like this, where you just put it in straight up like that. All right, that's probably going to be the best option for that type of situation. Also keep in mind when you're doing a version where you kind of cut the deck like this, it's always nice to keep your hands tilted up towards the eye level like this. So my fingers, the deck should be pointing up at the camera or the eyes, kind of like this. All right, so this will give you a lot better cover and also a little bit better illusion here. And I'm going to go over this later in the video, but how you can kind of push the card down a little bit like this as you drop it in, and it gives a really good illusion that it's really going in the middle. All right, so that's just a little extra subtlety you can do, but you want to make sure you're getting the angles right when you cut the deck so that they're kind of aimed up towards their eyes a little bit like this, and also turned. So to make sure that you're doing that right, just start from this position, facing the camera. Okay, now tilt up, and now you're going to turn and then cut the deck. Now this is kind of where you want to be, somewhere around in this area here, with it kind of tilted up like this. So obviously you don't do all that while you're performing, but this is where you kind of how you'd already want to be standing when you go into it. So for like in a performance, you show the card, you get ready, okay, have it tilted up at eye level already. I'm going to turn my body a little bit like this, just goes in, and then I just slide it in like that. I don't try to overly convince anyone that it's going into the middle. Hopefully that makes sense. So again, I'm just here. All I'm going to do is just slap her in the deck like that and then push it in. Nothing special there. That's really how I like to perform it and how I think it should be performed. I really don't think it should be this thing where you're being like super deliberate and like trying to make this big deal out of it, like cutting the card, you know, try to avoid all that type of stuff. It should just be like, it should just feel like you're just cutting it into the deck like you normally would. All right, so I just did the tilt there. Now compare that with just me putting the card in regularly. It looks exactly the same. So when you put the card in for real, it should look like you're putting the card in with the tilt, right? So it needs to match. That's the key. So I really think you should just take a moment and practice just cutting the deck and sliding the card in for real, and just look at how that looks. So watch yourself do that several times. Just look at how that looks. Okay, that's how it looks, right? So when you do your tilt, you want it to be the same. And just ignore how I'm getting ready, right? See, I'm going to talk about this later in the video, but you should never push the card over like this in front of the audience and then cut the deck. I'm just doing that because I'm lazy right now. But keep that in mind as well. We don't want to get ready right in front of the audience. We want to do it with our hand kind of tilted down like this in a wrist kill position. All right, and then we're using this as cover as well. So we can put the card up to them like this. I tilt my wrist, but we're getting off topic now. But anyway, that's kind of how it should be though. So it should just feel like same as when you normally do it, like for real. So that's pretty much everything I really want to say about the angles and stuff, but that is important. So let's move on.
So the most important thing about this move really is how you go into it. It's how you set it up. It's how smoothly you can transition from taking a card and place it into the deck. Because if you think about it, if you just take a card and place it into the middle of the deck, it looks something like that. There's nothing complicated about it. There's nothing crazy about it. It just looks like that. So the tilt needs to look the same. So in order to do that, we have to really plan ahead a little bit with our moves and making sure that we have a solid get ready when we go into it. So I'm going to show 2 different ways to get ready for this move. One is a classic way of just using a classic get ready and just pushing over cards a little bit like that, getting a pinky break. And then I'm also going to show you this bubble break, where you can actually use your thumb to bubble the card up like this. Now this is the version that I like to use because you don't have any movement of the hands really when you do it this way. And when you tilt your wrist, they can't see that you're bubbling the deck up. Also, when you transition your grip over to the side with your thumb and actually do the cuts, you'll see that the deck pops up into its final position that you need for the tilt. So I'm going to show both ways to do that. But I do want to say that it's worth learning this little method of getting a bubble break like this. It's really useful because again, there's less hand movement going on with it, and you actually are set up in the final position very, very easily when you do it this way with the classic get ready. It works fine, but there's a little bit more messing around here to get into the final position so that you can actually have a break pop up like that. It's a little trickier. Now this may feel trickier for some people to do this but I'll explain how it's done, and it's really not that big of a deal. So once you basically have this little bubble thing down, you can pop it up like this, and you're already in the final position. Look how big that break is. It's really nifty way to get a nice big break, and it gives you a really nice depth illusion when you do it this way. I mean, it almost looks good from this angle. So let's talk about how to get into that. What you want to do is practice this move by taking a card off the deck. I usually take it off like something like this. You can push it off like this. Doesn't really matter. You're going to hold it in the hand like this. You're not going to hold it like this because this does not give you any sort of control over the card, and you can't manipulate the card very well holding it like this. It also looks pretty awkward. Nobody holds a card like this really, unless you're just like throw it at somebody or something. There's really no reason to be holding a card like that. So hold it like this. But what you need to do is practice taking the card off the deck. And I display it like this. And sometimes I'll use it to cover my hand here as I tilt. All right, so this is how you'll start doing the move. Take the card off the deck, show it. You can use it so you can block. You know, this angle will help block what's happening here with the hand, but you're gonna risk kill anyway. But this is a nice little distraction. So you show the card, you're gonna come here and do your classic get ready as you do that, or do your little bubble like this. So whichever one you're comfortable with. Now, I don't like it how the thumb comes over and pushes when you do the classic get ready. So I don't generally use the classic get ready. I like to use this other, like kind of a bubble break. I'm not actually sure what the name of this is. I'm going to look it up and put the source in the description because I feel bad about not knowing what this is, to be honest with you. But anyway, it's probably called like a bubble break or something like that. But yeah, I prefer that method because you just have to push lightly forwards. You just keep pressure there at the front with the index. Actually, I think I forgot to say this at the beginning. But yeah, you're going to push forwards like that with the index, keeping pressure on the card at all times. So it's basically just, you're lifting up the whole back right corner when you do that. So you're pushing forward with the thumb, pushing down and forwards. And the index is kind of pushing backwards into the hand. It's not really pushing, it's just keeping that card from, you don't want this card to pop up. All right, so you really, the pad of your index finger, the pad part is just a little bit above the deck. It's just slightly above the edge of the deck like this. And what it will do is it will keep the cards from coming up off like that. Okay, so that's all you need to maintain to make that little bubble happen. So here, index there, and then the thumb pushes forwards. And you can experiment with where to push forwards from. Generally though, I just do it as far to the edge as I can, because then you won't get as big of a break when you do it, which you don't want to get one of these massive ones like this, right? It's pretty easy to do at first when you're learning to accidentally make a big break like that. You don't want to do that. So one way to get around that is just to try to stay to the edge of the deck like this when you do it. Okay, and then you can just get a little one like that. Now again, when it's here, this is all happening under cover, right? Because I'm showing the card, but you want to bring the deck away from that part. The thumb pad there, now I'm ready to go. So yeah, I mean, the type of break I want. You also got to be careful though, because if you make a break like this can be seen from certain angles, okay? So you got to be really careful about how you use this. This one's going to take a little practice to get the pressure right, because if you do too much, it'll pop up way too much. If you do too little, actually, you can't really do too little, that's the thing. You're really trying to do as little as you can. You don't want it to pop up too much, or it's going to cause you problems. So you just work on doing this tiny little bubble break like that. All right, once that's done, now you're ready to go into the move. So your hand would be tilted like this as you're showing the card. So let's do this again, all in step. So just boom. I'm showing the card. I'm getting my bubble here as I show the card. Now I'm ready to present the deck like normal. Cut it. Okay, and now we can go into the actual move. All right, so that's basically how it should kind of be, something like that. So that's how I do it, at least. Just like that. So that's really it. So show the card, tilt your wrist, get ready, however you like. Then you can come up and present the deck at that point. And I'll try to get another angle on this from the front so you guys can see what that should look like. You guys keep practicing that. Now, if you want to learn how to do this little flourish, all you do is you contact the card from the back left corner or from the back. It's really just from the back. And then you're going to pivot it off of the middle finger at the front. So you push up, a little bit so that it can pivot. Once it's here, you just take your middle finger and pivot it. Ooh. It's a little tricky. You pivot it around the middle finger of your deckhand. You're gonna come and grab that corner with your index and middle finger like this as you turn it, and then your thumb will come catch it here once it fully turns. This is a fun little flourish you can do. It just kind of distracts them away from the deck. They're focusing on the movement of your hand and you showing the card. Okay, so that's just a cool little flourish you can do. Otherwise, you can also just always take it off normally. Okay, so let's move on to the next step here. So boom, we're here. We're going to do our little bubble break here, or plastic get ready. All right, so with the bubble, you hold it like this. Now when I lift, cut the deck, it automatically will go into the position you need to be in. You have to be very careful about when you do this though. You need to make sure that your wrist is angled like this. Okay, so I have it now. Now when I lift, I'm not presenting the deck until I cut. So as I cut is when I bring up my hands like this to present the deck. That will hide the little pop-up there from the back. You don't want them to see the cards pop up here on the deckhand. So once you're here, again, you're going to hold the card just in the corners, just like this. And you're going to swing it into the deck kind of like this. So this is why it's important to hold on to like this. You don't have to do that, but it does look nice. And it kind of gives a feeling of, oh, I don't care, I'm just tossing it in the deck, right? It's all about feel, how it feels. Boom, goes in, push it in. Basically it. And you can also do that with the classic get ready, of course. So boom, you're here. For the classic get ready, all you're going to be doing here is just pushing over the card, but you're pivoting it. This is the important thing about the classic get ready. It's not about pushing the cards over like this. That's not what you do. What you want to do is you want to push over so that it pivots off of your ring finger and your middle finger like this. That's all you're doing. So you're just going to push it over so it pivots a little bit. And it gets the card will go over the pinky. Boom. And you just bring it all back in like that. And again, you use your thumb to pivot the deck away just for a little bit, just like that much. All right, now I can lift and cut the deck. Now what you want to do for the classic get ready is to make sure that your thumb is not touching the left top card here. So the top card, when I do my classic get ready, I'm gonna bring this part of my thumb away, the meat of my thumb. I bring it away like this by kind of pivoting the deck with my thumb like this. It seems weird, but that's kind of how you do it. So you can see how I pivot away from my hand like that just for a moment. All you gotta do is just bring it away just for a moment and it will give you that final break that you need, just like that. So that's how you do it with the classic get ready. So this is the newer subtlety to it where you kind of do a cut like this with your thumb. You don't have to do that. You can do the classic version as well, which I recommend if you're surrounded. So if you're performing for people on your left and right and all that stuff, you don't want to cut the deck like this because you'll flash, obviously. They can see over there that you're not putting it in the deck. So to get around it, you do everything exactly the same, but you just don't cut the deck. So boom, say I'm using the classic ready. I'll push over, I'll move it away like that. Now I can do it. Okay, now I can just put it in like normal. So it's super, super simple. Get my little classic get ready. Bring it away from the pad part of my thumb by using my thumb here on the top. It pushes down. So I'm pushing down to the right with my thumb like this to pivot it. Now I can just do the tilt from there. Right? That's basically it. Now for the bubble version, again, same thing. So you're just gonna do that, boom. You're gonna bring your thumb away so it pops up. Now you have now you can do the same thing with the bubble break. All right, so that's how simple it is there. And then what you want to do is just work on how fast you can and accurately you can just toss it in there like that. So as soon as it goes into the deck, like this, you drop your hands down, and you'll have a really nice depth illusion from the front. See if I can show this here. So boom, cut it away. See if I can kind of show how this might look. So it goes in, hand drops as soon as it goes in, and you have this little depth illusion that's caused when you drop it down like that. So you want to maintain the break as you drop the packet down if you can. It's going to be tricky to do at first. It's not 100% necessary, but it does make it look a little better if you can cut the deck like this and then bring it down. And I'm maintaining, look how I'm kind of still holding two distinct packets here. One of them is with my thumb, the other is just resting in my hand. So when I bring it down, it's still being kind of held with my thumb there. I'm not letting go of everything. Okay, if you do that, you'll lose the break, and then you won't have the nice depth illusion. So boom, here, pick it up like this. When we drop it down, we maintain that break as best as we can. When it drops down, it's okay if the deck looks staggered like this at the front. It only just helps the illusion even more, in my opinion. And this goes in, and then what I do is I tilt the pack up and I riffle, but I don't riffle a whole deck. I just riffle a little bit, like up to there. So I tilt up and riffle, and that's what will hide the discrepancy packet coming down like that after you square up, which obviously you don't want to show that either. This move is just very, very subtle. Like, there's a lot of subtle things you got to keep in mind when you use this move. It's a simple sleight, but it's important to try to utilize as many of these different subtleties as you can and pay attention to the little details. When you practice it, you want to make sure you get in the good habit of doing all these little details when it pertains to angles, how you're angling your hand in the pack, how you're hiding your get ready. Okay, all that stuff is extremely important. And that's what's going to make you have the best impact with this move, okay? So that's basically all there is to it, you guys. I don't think there's too much else that I can really explain here. Play around with the angles, that's the most important thing. And make sure that when you're getting ready here, you have another thing in motion. See how I just kind of did that there? So I'm ready to go. I can just flip it back. I can do my tilt now. So that should happen in the time it takes for me to display the card here like that. Okay? Like 2 or 3 people in front of me. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect, right? So boom, just goes in. We're done. So that's basically the Marlo tilt, you guys. I just see that people do it very, very incorrectly. So before I end the video, I just want to kind of go over some of the things of what not to do. It's extremely important to get these bad habits. It's extremely important to stop these bad habits right away. So just kill them at the source right when you're learning, and just stop doing it. Maybe you already do this move, but you want to make it better. So these are some things that you want to focus on not doing. All right, so do not hold the card like this. Okay, do not hold the card like this. You don't have to push out cards like this or anything like that either. This can be done, and it can work, but it takes a very specific attitude when you're doing it. A lot of people, they do it very deliberately when they do it. So they'll be like, oh, I'm trying to push the card in, and they'll do it like this. And it's like, it looks like they're having trouble putting the card into the deck, which we don't want it to look like we're fidgeting or struggling, being too deliberate, any of that stuff. So I would advise you probably stay away from that subtlety when you push the cards out, unless you can do it in a way that just feels like an accident. It needs to feel like an accident if you're going to do it. So, it's not a terrible thing to do, but if you're going to do it, it's just one little thing like that. Just make it seem like it's an accident if you're going to do that. I would say don't do that, though. It's completely unnecessary. It could definitely be suspicious, doing that. I've definitely been called out before when I first started learning this move. People said, oh, you put that card in really carefully, and that's true. It's because I was, and that's not how you want it to feel. You just want it to feel like nothing. So please don't do this. Don't hold the card like this. This is very awkward and doesn't give you any control. And then another thing that you should avoid doing as well is, of course, getting ready right in front of them. So you don't want to go like this right in front of them. Okay, even if you have good misdirection and motion, this is not the ideal way to do it. You want to make sure you're covering it here, risk killing, getting ready completely under cover here while you're relaxing. You can have your hand on the table, relaxing, whatever it's going to be. Now I'm ready to go. And then another thing that you should avoid doing as well is trying to overly convince them that the card's going in the middle. So don't say things like, look, you can see it's really going in the middle. Don't point out too much about it. Say, look, I'll leave your card in the middle for now. Just say something like that. Just be simple and to the point. You don't need to say, look really carefully. I want you to notice it goes into the deck. You don't need to do anything like that. Another thing is when you push in the card, do not tilt it up like this. Okay, don't tilt the card around. There is one subtlety I do use, and it basically is when the card goes in. So as soon as it enters into the deck, remember, we're going to drop the hands, just like that. Now, one thing I do like to do sometimes, as I'm placing this in, actually, I went too fast. Let's back up for a second. As I'm placing it in here, I bend it down. So before I drop the deck close, I push down and it bends down like this. And when it drops in, it gives a very, very nice illusion from the front that the card is just going right in the middle. You see what I mean there? So that's one thing I do sometimes do. but keep in mind it's absolutely unnecessary because this illusion looks perfect. Pretty much even the most basic version looks perfect as long as you go into it smoothly and everything. It looks great. So, but if you wanted to make it look a little bit better, you can definitely do that. So again, all you're gonna do there is it comes in, just push down a little bit like this, but never pull it up like this and push it in. That looks pretty awkward. So it comes down like that. You push down with the thumb, and it drops, and then it all comes and drops down while you maintain that break, like I talked about. You just push it in, and I like to tilt my hands up and do a little riffle. All right, so that's basically everything I want to say about the tilt today. It's a really great move. Don't underestimate it. It's really awesome. And I've used it all the time, especially for ACR routines. It's a nice way to get the card second from the top. So, sometimes you can do things like put it in face up and say, look, I'll leave your card face up in the deck so you know I can't cheat. And then you can do whatever you want, a card genie or whatever little sleight you want to do to take out that top card to reveal this, kind of produce the card from the middle. It's kind of cool. What's this? I spilled something on my card.
Alrighty guys, so as always, I hope you enjoyed that video. I really love this move. I think it's great, and I would like to see you guys performing this, doing it correctly, because I see so many people doing it incorrectly on Instagram and online and in person, and different people I've met. They always tend to do it a little bit awkwardly, like pushing cards out, being extremely careful and deliberate. I don't think they realize that they're really drawing a ton of attention towards their hands and making the whole entire situation suspicious. So I really hope you guys can get a lot out of this video. And I'm going to be working on a new spread pass video this week. I'm going to do the Gambler's Cop this week as well. But I wanted to redo the spread pass video. I had one on the channel before, but it was one of the first videos I ever shot. And to be honest with you, I don't believe I had the expertise level that I should have attained before making that tutorial. I've learned a lot more about the spread pass since then, and I have a lot of more tools and utilities and little things you guys can do with that move to make it a lot better. So I've actually taken that video down, and we'll put up a new one hopefully this week. But I think you guys are really going to like that one because I'm going to go over absolutely everything that you need to know about the spread pass. And it's something that I've worked on every day for years and years now. So I have a lot to share with you guys. But again, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my videos. It means a ton to me. If you guys like this type of content, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell. Leave a like and a comment. It really helps the algorithm. So I've been Josh, and thank you for watching POV Magic, guys. Take it easy.